Yo, what's going on everyone? Back here again with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a basic cut. It's going to be a number 6 on top with the one on the side. So let's go ahead and get this started. As you can see, he's got super curly hair. So as I start off any haircut, go ahead and grab your comb and just make sure you comb through it. Try to see where the hair flows, the direction of the hair. His hair's a little curly, so I'm going to go ahead and use my pick whenever I'm going through the top here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with a number 6. And again, just front to back, try to go against the grain. So if you see some swirls in the back of the head, just make sure you're always going against the grain here. Shout out to my guy Ronnie, by the way, man. He's on my soccer team. Cool ass dude. Alright, for my next step, he is getting a number 1 on the side, but one thing that I do find it helpful, especially for you beginning barbers out there, is I try to go through and kind of like get rid of some of the bulk so you can see where you are going to go ahead and start your fade. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with a number 2, then I'm just going to go ahead and blend that 2 straight into the top of the head. So you'll see me use following it up with my number 3 guard. And whenever you're using this guard, try not to dig too deep in the head, almost more like going straight up, following the shape of the head, or almost even flicking out. So I'm gonna go ahead and follow up that number 3 with my number 4 guard. Again, just trying to blend the sides in to the number 6 up top. And his hair is extremely curly. That's why I'm always combing through it, trying to make sure I get the hair laying down nice and right, following that up with a number 5 here. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and start this fade. So I'm gonna start off with the number 1. And because it's not a skin fade or nothing crazy like that, I'm not too worried about keeping it too low, but I do want to leave myself enough room to fade here. So go ahead and set your first initial guideline here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and open up my number 1 guard. And because I already blended out the top of this haircut whenever I went ahead and took the bulk down, this should blend in pretty smooth here with some touch-up work here. So first I'm going to do, like I said, it was my 1 close. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up that number 1 guard. And just to erase that line in between, I pretty much just do some trigger play, just close and open. But I'm going to go back and go ahead and touch that up at the end just so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. So now I'm using my 1.5 guard, and again, just leaving myself enough room to fade without digging too high into the top of his head. So first I went ahead and did it open, then you'll see me close it up a bit and clean it up. Now I'm going to do my number 2 guard, and even though I did do this again already, you can never do too much touch-up work. You always got to make sure your fade's looking nice and right. And again, he does have some curls, which you might see a little bit of lines in there, but that's just the way the natural hair grows. So just doing some touch-up work with the number 2. And that should pretty much blend the hair in. Now what I like to do is, like I said, I just kind of like to go back in there and just do some touch-up work. Anything that I feel like I can get rid of, even if I got to look at different angles, look in the mirror, whatever. I just like to do a lot of touch-up work just to make sure that the fade stands out and it pops. Even though it's a regular haircut, it's just a number 1 on the side, no crazy skin fade. I try to do my best to make sure the haircut stands out. Okay, he wanted to keep, for the most part, most of the length on his beard. So I'm gonna go ahead and just fade into that a bit. I did use a number 1 guard, so I open it up, give myself enough room to fade, then I close it up, then I follow that by my 1.5, open it up and close it up too. And notice when I'm using my 1.5 too, his beard grows almost going sideways, so I try to attack that. Going against the grain there. So now I'm lining up his beard. He's trying to grow his beard out, so I'm gonna go ahead and just try to keep it as natural as possible, but sharp, that way it still stands out. And remember, even though these are simple haircuts, if you truly pay attention to all the little details and try to make this simple haircut stand out by putting, the crispiest edge you could ever put on this, it's gonna stand out a lot, and clients love that. That's how you start getting returning clients. They love barbers that pay attention to the small details here. So I ask questions, just like around this area, I asked him if he wanted me to fade the beard in, or if he wanted me to keep the beard a little wider, if he wanted me to, keep it a little narrow up top and then bring it down wider, and like he wanted to keep like a wider beard all the way from the top to the bottom. So that's cool, but you got to ask those small questions there. Those are the ones that make the difference, especially when you're trying to grow out your clientele. You'll see me using a bunch of different liners too. I have certain liners that they might not be as sensitive, that I like to use underneath the neck or behind the ears, or I have some edges that are extremely sharp for like whenever I'm doing the arch, or like the C cup or whatever you guys like to call it. So that's the only reason you'll see me change up on the edges, but other than that, I make sure all my edges hit and I can still get a really clean edge off of all of them. And again, whenever you're edging anybody up, I like to call it like a professional pushback. Like, it's okay to push it back a little bit, but you don't want to go too crazy to where within a day or two you already see all the hair coming back there. So you want to get it as sharp as you can without pushing it back. I know a lot of barbers nowadays, they use like whether it's paint or Topic or whatever, and that's cool too, because they're not getting a pushback either, but most of that stuff does fade away as soon as you get in the shower. So I like, personally, myself, I like to keep as crispy of an edge as I can without pushing it back too crazy. Whenever I'm boxing out anybody in the back here, like you see, I'm going ahead back in with my number 1, just doing touch-up work here, going against the grain since his hair does grow in crazy directions here. But you want to make sure I usually start off in the middle and then work my way to the sides. And something important that I learned, at least whenever people get squared in the back, is have them facing down, and then after that, have them look back up and just double check everything in the mirror. Sometimes, especially whenever you're cutting kids, you might edge them up and you might think it looks crispy, and then when they get out of the chair, it looks like upside down you. It just doesn't look right. So just make sure you always double check your work before your client gets out of the chair. And again, a professional pushback, you don't want to go too crazy, but obviously you don't want this edge to end way too low on his neck here. Alright, so right here I went ahead and asked my client if he was going to grow out his hair or if he was going to keep it short or whatever. So he usually likes to keep his length at a number 6. So what I'll go ahead and do here is I'll freehand the front with a 1.5, and it kind of just gives it shape and it gets me prepared to go ahead and do that front edge. So I went ahead and freehanded it, and as always, I start in the middle and then I work my way towards the highest side. That way, whenever I go back and I touch the other side, it should be able to fit right in. You don't want to do one side that's low and then you end up going to the other side that's naturally high, and now you got to go back and double work, go ahead and push back the other side. It's too much of a hassle. Whenever you get to these corners, make sure you try to get a perfect 90-degree angle. Try to get that edge as sharp as you can. Make it stand out as much as it can. ahead and clean up his eyebrows here. Everybody has their own approach on how they touch up these eyebrows. I'll drop a video soon and let you guys know how I do them. I like to keep my eyebrows, or at least whenever I do my client's eyebrows, I like to touch them up a little bit. I don't like to go too thin. Try to keep them a little bit masculine there, but still nice and cleaned up. But maybe one day I'll drop a video on that so you guys can check it out how I do the full eyebrows here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start my blade work. And usually you can dry shave up towards the top, but at least whenever it comes down to these beards, make sure you are putting some type of shaving gel or anything there, just so it doesn't irritate the client. And one thing that I personally like to do whenever I am blading up these beards is I'll go through one time, I'll blade them up, try to keep it nice and sharp, and then after that I'll wipe it down, whether it be a towel or a brush, and then I hit it a second time just to make sure it's not a fake lineup. What I mean about that is sometimes when you blade up, all the little hairs that you just cut off get attached to the shape up, and it makes it look so fresh and so sharp, but then the client might go home and wipe it down and it looks nothing like it did at the barbershop. So just try to make sure it looks good with or without that. Just like if you ever use Topic, try to make sure it's gonna look good with or without the Topic or any enhancements. And again, just like I always say, touch-up work is crucial. Make sure everything stands out nice and smooth. Just to finish off any haircut before I'm done, I'll go ahead and run the number up top again just one more time, just to make sure I didn't leave any stragglers there, and making sure this haircut is perfect. Go ahead and style them up. Threw a little bit of gel in there just to give it some little finesse at the end, just to make sure he walks out of here looking nice and fresh. And remember, it's the small details that matter. So like I said, even here you'll see me touching it up a bit. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys, those of you guys subscribed, and if you're not, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. I'm working on a couple other videos as we speak, so hopefully we can get more of these tutorials coming out to you guys in a couple other videos. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time.